The night didn't just lead Sarah somewhere new. It brought her back to something she was never meant to remember. In this episode, the house on Ash Street, silence grows heavier with every mile as Ethan drives her into darkness, toward a home that feels more like a memory than a place. But when Sarah sees herself inside a past she doesn't recall, everything begins to fracture. Because this isn't just a house, it's a secret waiting to wake up, and someone inside already knows who she really is. So, before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. The drive to Ash Street felt less like a journey and more like a descent into something unspoken, something both inevitable and dangerous. Ethan's car carried a scent that lingered in the air long after each breath: cedar, leather, and something far more elusive: secrets buried deep beneath time and memory. Sarah sat in silence, her fingers curled tightly in her lap, as if holding herself together required physical effort. Outside, the city slowly dissolved. Neon lights faded into distant glows, replaced by long stretches of empty road and shadows that stretched unnaturally across the pavement. There was something oppressive about the silence between them. It wasn't awkward, it was charged. Every unspoken word felt heavier than anything they could have said aloud. Sarah wanted to ask questions, hundreds of them, but something in Ethan's posture warned her not to. His focus was fixed ahead, his jaw set, as though he were preparing not just for arrival, but for confrontation. When the car finally came to a halt, it was abrupt enough to pull Sarah out of her spiraling thoughts. In front of them stood a towering iron gate, its black bars twisted into ornate, almost Gothic patterns. Beyond it loomed the mansion, if it could still be called that. It was less a home and more a relic, draped in ivy that crawled across its walls like veins. The structure seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, its windows dark and watchful. Sarah felt a chill creep up her spine, not from the night air but from something far more internal, something instinctive. "This is home?" she asked, though the question carried more disbelief than curiosity. Ethan's response was quiet, almost detached. It was. That single word hung in the air like a warning. Not is, was. The distinction mattered, though Sarah didn't yet understand how deeply. Crossing the threshold felt like stepping into a preserved memory. The house was not abandoned in the traditional sense. Nothing was broken. Nothing was overtly decayed. But everything felt paused, frozen. A thin layer of dust softened every surface, muting colors and dulling reflections. The grand piano in the corner looked as though it had been played recently, yet the dust on its keys told a different story. The staircase curved upward in an elegant spiral, its shape almost hypnotic, like a question mark carved into wood and shadow. Portraits lined the walls, dozens of them, each one meticulously framed. Each face painted with unsettling realism. As Sarah walked deeper into the house, she couldn't shake the feeling that the eyes in those portraits were tracking her, studying her, recognizing her. The air was thick with history, with moments that had not faded but instead lingered, waiting to be acknowledged. Then she saw it. The photograph stood on the mantel, placed with deliberate care. It didn't blend into the surroundings like the other objects. It stood out, as if it were meant to be found. Sarah approached it slowly, her heartbeat growing louder with each step. And then, everything stopped. The woman in the photograph was her, not someone who looked like her, not a resemblance that could be dismissed. It was undeniably her. She was wearing a white silk dress that shimmered softly in the captured light, her expression relaxed, almost joyful, and beside her stood Ethan. Not the guarded, controlled man she had come to know, but someone different, softer, more open. His hand rested at the small of her back in a way that was intimate, familiar, and deeply personal. The image radiated a kind of closeness that Sarah could not reconcile with the reality she knew. Her breath caught in her throat as her mind struggled to process what her eyes were seeing. Drawn by a force she couldn't resist, Sarah reached out and touched the glass. The moment her fingers made contact, the world fractured. It wasn't a gradual recollection. It was a collision, sudden, overwhelming, and impossible to control. Sound flooded her senses first, the soft swell of music, the delicate notes of a piano blending seamlessly with the low hum of conversation. Then came the visuals, blurred at first, then sharpening into clarity. The same room, alive with light and movement. People dressed in elegance, laughter echoing against the walls. Champagne glasses catching reflections like scattered stars. And Ethan, closer than he had ever been, his presence wrapping around her like gravity. She could feel his breath near her ear, hear the quiet intensity in his voice as he whispered, "If you run now, I'll follow you anywhere." The words carried a promise, but also something darker, something possessive. The memory wasn't just seen, it was felt. Every emotion surged through her as though it were happening again in real time. The force of it sent her stumbling backward, reality snapping back into place with brutal clarity. Her chest heaved as she struggled to breathe, her mind reeling from the impact. Before she could collapse, Ethan was there, his hands steadying her, grounding her. His touch was firm, reassuring, but there was something unsettling about it. His warmth. It was too intense, too constant, as though it wasn't just physical heat, but something deeper, something unnatural. His eyes searched hers with sharp focus, analyzing, calculating. "You remember something," he said, his voice low but urgent. It wasn't a question, it was a confirmation. Sarah wanted to respond, to explain what she had seen, what she had felt, but the words wouldn't come. Her thoughts were too fragmented, her emotions too raw. And then the house screamed. The alarm shattered the moment, its piercing sound cutting through the air with violent urgency. Sarah flinched, her heart leaping into her throat. Somewhere above them, glass shattered, sharp, unmistakable. The sound echoed through the house like a gunshot. Everything changed in an instant. Ethan's demeanor shifted so quickly it was almost frightening. The warmth vanished, replaced by something cold, precise, and lethal. His posture straightened, his gaze sharpening as he stepped in front of her without hesitation. "Stay behind me," he ordered, his tone leaving no room for argument. This wasn't the man from the photograph. This wasn't even the man from the car. This was someone else entirely. Someone trained, dangerous, and ready. Footsteps thundered from above, heavy and deliberate. Whoever had entered wasn't hiding. They wanted to be heard. They wanted to be known. Sarah's pulse raced as she clutched the edge of the mantel, her mind struggling to keep up with the rapid escalation. And then, a voice. Female. Smooth, laced with mockery and something eerily familiar. It echoed from the balcony above, carrying a confidence that sent a chill through Sarah's veins. "Still protecting her, Ethan," the voice called out, each word dripping with amusement. How romantic. Sarah looked up, her breath catching as a figure emerged from the shadows. The woman stepped forward into the dim light, her crimson coat striking against the darkness like a warning sign. In her hand was a gun, held with casual ease, as though it were an extension of her will rather than a weapon. But it wasn't the gun that froze Sarah in place. It was her face. More specifically, her eyes. They were the same. Identical. Not just in color, but in depth, in intensity, in the way they seemed to hold something unspoken beneath the surface. It was like looking into a distorted mirror, one that reflected not just appearance, but something deeper, something shared. The realization hit Sarah with quiet devastation. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't resemblance. This was connection. The woman's smile widened, as though she could see the exact moment Sarah understood. And in that moment, everything shifted again. The mystery was no longer just about Ethan, or the house, or the lost memories. It was about her. And the truth was no longer hiding. It was standing right in front of her, armed, smiling, and ready to tear everything apart. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up. Leave a comment and click the button to subscribe.